Let's get physical. It's Jordan here, back again with this week's update on all the physical releases coming to the Switch. We're in the final week of May, looking at the games from the 25th until the 29th. Retail, low print, and imports, plus our community spotlight where you show off your pickups and potentially win one of these physical Switch games. It is a massive week. Let's jump in. Finding Teddy 2 is releasing this week thanks to Pixel Heart in Europe and VGNY in North America. This is a Metroidvania style game with a retro throwback, many people of which have likened it to Zelda 2. Yes, the one that everybody loves aside from it being called a Zelda game. Featuring 20 hours of story, action, exploration, puzzles, and a great soundtrack, you got yourself a solid retro style time. I think if you enjoyed games like Shovel Knight, Agolos, and Zelda 2 of course, then you'll certainly want to keep your eyes on this one. It seems like a top effort for what it's going for. You should be able to get your hands on this via your usual website of choice, but it is also being sold on Pixel Heart Store as well as VGNY for the North American variant, with 5,000 copies for each region. XENOBLADE Chronicles Definitive Edition is probably the most anticipated release for most Switch owners. A remaster of one of the greatest JRPGs of all time, looking gorgeous in full HD with much improved textures and added content. Yes, already one of the longest JRPGs ever is getting a 15-hour bonus chapter. It's one of my faves and I'm super excited, but I just don't know how I can possibly find the time for it. I am back at work, taking care of the family and doing SwitchWatch duties at the same time. How can I fit a massive game in like this? Maybe when I retire, eh? Anyways, aside from July's Paper Mario release, this is the only proper Nintendo game that we actually know about, at least for a release date. Who's picking this one up? And XENOBLADE Chronicles is God of Resins and Dane Wilkinson's pick of the week. Oh boy, did 2K Games go slightly mental this week. Instead of spreading releases out like any normal company would, they decided to slam 3 absolutely massive releases together on the same day. Yep, this week on the 29th we have the BioShock Collection, the Borderlands Legendary Collection, plus XCOM 2 Collection in North America. Starting with the Borderlands Legendary Collection, here you get Borderlands 1 on the cartridge, and Borderlands 2 and Borderlands the pre-sequel as download codes. Yeah, it seems like a one-time use sort of thing rather than being able to download them within the software, like say with Final Fantasy X Part 2. Anyways, with a minimum of 42 gigabytes download, you can see why it's come to this. It's not ideal, and really the only thing they could have done is to do some like extreme compression or, release 3 separate cartridges, which we all know would never happen. Anyways, the Borderlands collection is Jonathan Rumor's pick of the week. BioShock Collection offers 3 games in the BioShock trilogy, 1, 2, and Infinite, all in their remastered definitive editions form. Now, I'm not entirely sure which parts are downloads or not, as I can't find any explicit confirmation at the time of writing this. Either way, it will require over 40 gigabytes of download space if you want all that it has to offer. Hope you all have massive SD cards, guys. Anyways, BioShock Collection is SwitchWatch Legends Kyle Salo's pick of the week. XCOM 2, as a physical, seems to be oddly exclusive to North America. I cannot find it anywhere for sale in Europe, and the wording from our 2K Games representative pretty much confirmed that's the case. In this one, you get XCOM 2 and pretty much all of the add-on contents for it, and like the others, a massive download is required. I hope you're not planning on buying all 3 of these collections, otherwise you'll be needing to buy a new SD card for sure. While the date and time isn't quite set in stone yet, NG Dev have said that GUNLORD X should be available to be bought physically around the 30th or 31st. This game is a badass run and gun game that I reviewed when it first came out digitally. It seems like a lifetime ago now, but it's actually just a year ago, almost to the day. Fantastic game, and I highly recommend picking this one up. If you're into the classic Turrican, it's worth checking out my review for more info about it, and I'm sure this will be a nice collector's piece in the future, especially since there's a standard edition as well as a collector's edition. MotoGP 20 is getting a release in North America this week, and sadly, just like the European version, it's a code in a box. A bit of an uncertainty for me is that of Stranger's Wrath, the Oddworld game. I know it was slated for May 28th originally, and although I haven't heard about a delay, I'm guessing that there has been since there are a few dates all over the place at various retailers now. Some still state the 28th, some have changed it to other dates or like to be announced. We shall see. Remember, there's supposed to be a standard edition as well as a collector's edition. Also, Adam's Venture Origins was slated for the 29th, but I think this has been delayed also. Not sure though. Alright, let's talk about Kickstarter, The Last Faith. This is an exploration-based Metroidvania, action side-scrolling platformer with dark and gothic themes at its core, promising lots of weapons, magic spells, and sublime environmental pixel art. This is one I've definitely got my eyes on. According to the Kickstarter, you can pay £44 for a physical version on the Switch, or pay up a bit extra and get the Kickstarter exclusive version and all manner of collector's editions, which is slightly confusing. There's an estimate release date of September 2021. I also want to apologize to last week's Kickstarter mention, which I wrongly called War of Ashbird. It's not Ashbird, it's Asherd. Sorry, as you may have seen, last week's episode was all over the place. I was under the weather in physical and mental sense, and I still am, as you can probably hear, but, that's not an excuse for not reading properly. Hopefully this episode has turned out better than last week's. Anyways, let's jump into the low print releases. Super 8 Games have announced their latest Switch game. This week is Tricky Towers Collector's Edition, available for order on May 28th. This includes all the DLC on the cartridge, which makes it a more appealing package. It's a well-received physics-based puzzle party game, although I can't see this reveal setting the world alight. I do appreciate Super 8 Games. They always have something very different each month. None of their releases tend to feel samey, and even though I'd never considered getting this one myself, I commend them for, doing what they do. Limited Run are distributing Super Epic in North America on behalf of PM Studios. There's a standard edition as well as a collector's edition. You can get your order in on May 26th. This has already been released in Europe thanks to Numbskull Games, as we have seen from a couple of you guys in the community spotlight. If you don't know what it is, it's a Metroidvania-style adventure game mixed with humor. Combo-based combat, a lot of exploration, supposedly pretty decent. What the Golf is being released by I Am 8-Bit. We reviewed this in the middle of last week, although no one seemed to watch it. It's one of the funniest games of the year so far, I have no doubt. It's a golf game made by the people who don't know anything about golf, and it's all the better for it. The game is available digitally now, but 2,500 Switch copies are being made available to pre-order physically from I Am 8-Bit, with shipping aiming for Q3 of this year. It is worth noting that a non-limited version will be available at retailers at some point. The game is not exclusive to I Am 8-Bit, but that version won't include the interior art or stickers as far as I'm aware. It is also worth noting that they have a vinyl soundtrack available for this game to purchase too. Bite the Bullet is going up for pre-order from Strictly Limited Games this week on the 31st. Anyways, I have never heard of this game until this point, but it does look rather cool. It's a run and gunner, which seems to be the genre that they quite enjoy. It also seems to have RPG elements to it as well. There's a standard edition as well as a collector's edition to get to. Speaking of Strictly Limited Games, they have announced they're opening a brand new partner website in order to do a distribution line in the same vein as Limited Run, only this time as a slightly different website to keep everything nice and orderly. They'll be distributing special versions of games that are getting a retail release elsewhere. The only thing exclusive is the artwork and a special edition. First up, available for order now, is Umehara Kawase Bazooka. This is a spin-off of a much-loved but very niche series. It seems to be a mix of co-op or competitive action taking place on a single screen, using the wacky physics of the game and putting it to a different use. Perhaps even battling things like, Smash Bros. I'm not entirely convinced by it. It looks a bit naff, sorry. And this is coming from someone who actually enjoys the franchise, usually. Anyway, Strictly Limited have a nice cover art variant for the standard edition, plus a collector's edition with a steel book, soundtrack, although no mention if it's CD or download, art book, stickers, double-sided poster, and character cards. You can get this right now. It is limited though. Also, Pix and Love are publishing their first physical game, an SNK release. It is a Neo Geo Samurai Showdown collection. Yep, all the Samurai Showdown Neo Geo games on one cartridge, plus an extra special surprise, which I'm dying to know what it is. Anyways, I don't actually know when this is being put up for sale, but I can imagine it being pretty soon since I know that they have the games in hand right now. Sign up to their newsletter or follow them on Twitter. I'm very excited about this and certainly don't want to miss it. And finally, as I am writing this, on Saturday morning, Limited Run have teased a picture of Blaster Master Zero, saying that there'll be more info on Monday, which is the day that this video releases. So I'm guessing, only guessing, but probably Blaster Master Zero is going up for order this week from Limited Run Games. Alright, let's jump into the imports this week. As always, if any of the games here take your fancy and you want to import them for yourself, then there are links below in the description and the pinned comment as to where you can find them for yourself. They are affiliate links, so any purchase that you make using those links helps out the SwitchWatch team so much. You guys are always amazing, and we thank you so much for helping us in this regard. You're wonderful people. And in return, you can get 5% off your order if when you check out, you find the coupon code. It's very small to find it, but it is there when you're checking out. You click on that, you enter the coupon code SwitchWatchTV, all one word, SwitchWatchTV, and you can get 5% off your order. Alright, the star of this week's imports for me is Moero Crystal H. This is the latest Play Asia exclusive, which technically counts as both low print and import in my opinion, but anyways, this is a JRPG, a very risque one at that. I believe it's the third game in the Moero series, and is being brought to English for the first time. Supposedly a sexy dungeon crawling comedy game with some touchy-feely segments thrown in. This time on the Switch you can do double the feeling at the same time, and it even includes HD Rumble. Like most games of this type, the trailer seems absolutely terrified to show any gameplay, but it seems to be a first-person dungeon crawling JRPG similar to a game like Etrian Odyssey. Orders for the Standard Edition and Collector's Edition open on May 28th. The Collector's Edition will nab you a manual, soundtrack CD, art book, sticker set, certificate, collector's box, as well as a mini keychain. If you're planning on ordering this on the 28th at 11 PM Hong Kong time, then if you'd be so kind to come back to this video and use the link below while you do it so you can help us out at the same time. We really appreciate it. One of the more interesting releases from a collector standpoint is that of Synaptic Drive. This is a 1v1 third-person arena shooter, which could be a lot of competitive fun if you have a friend by your side. Although I have to admit it looks quite basic, still, lots of customization and classic style gameplay. Who knows, it might be a bit of a gem. This has been confirmed to be a digital-only release in the West, but is physical in Japan and has English on the cartridge. Umihara Kawase Bazooka is releasing in Japan. This is already up for order as a Western version from Strictly Limited Games, but the Japanese version is the early way to get it if you don't want to wait or you don't want the collector's box. It has English, so it's very viable for import. There's also a couple of visual novels releasing. Firstly, Uto no Prince Sama, Amazing Aria, and Sweet Serenade Love, 2 games in one I believe, plus Daroku Ayakashimori. Neither of these have English, both are otame, I'll just leave it at that. Japan is also getting a couple of late releases such as Zombie Army Trilogy and Farming Simulator 20, but you don't care, because we already have those. Alright, Community Spotlight where you show off your physicals, plus if you get featured you'll be in with a chance of winning a physical Switch game plus a spare code for the Hotline Miami collection donated to us by Jonathan, one of our regulars. At the end of this section, 2 prizes will be given away. Now, because of the many physicals this week, plus the amount of submissions for Community Spotlight, I'm going to have to randomly choose the pictures to talk about this time, and let some be highlights at the end. Just can't fit them all into today's episode, sadly. Alright, this week for me, I picked up Yono and the Celestial Elephants, just as I said I would in last week's video. First time I heard of this getting a physical, and so as punishment for my lack of knowledge, I had to buy it. Anyways, this has an English front cover, but as it's the Belgian version, on the back it has French and Dutch. After asking on Twitter, it turns out that there is a version that does have English on the back. The collector that showed me said that they got theirs from a Spanish retailer, and looking at the back of the box, it has English, Spanish, and Italian languages. So I guess they have the slightly more desirable version than mine, but it's fine. If you just want the English front cover, the Belgian version may be the way to go. Sadly, the French and German copies don't have English on the front. Alright, let's move on to you lot. Avery Brown sent in more detailed pictures of their Yono and the Celestial Elephants after last week. I said that I didn't know this had a physical. He got his from France, and while the cover art is in French, the cartridge has an English logo, oddly enough. Matthew Taylor got the Shock Box edition of the Samurai Showdown game. This looks to be an absolute beast. Is this the one that comes with the Neo Geo Pocket Samurai Showdown 2 physical? That was something that I had no idea about until after it was already sold out. I almost cried. Outlaw Reaver sent in this picture of some mostly Nintendo goodness. It's weird because despite Kirby being quite a big franchise for Nintendo and Star Allies selling decently, I don't see this pop up too often in the series. Either that or I'm just not noticing it. Chris from Cali has this photo including Yomawari Long Night Collection, which I believe is the collector's edition, which is definitely something I don't see often. I know that the games included are considered to be hidden gems kind of, although I've never played them myself. Marcio Quintanillero showed off this collection of fine games, has great taste in JRPGs, and all-round quality of mostly top-tier Nintendo titles. Andrew Kelly got in these games, always fun to see wild guns. Yeah, it may not have aged the best or be as relevant today, but it's still nice to see something like that get a physical copy out of nowhere. Plus, I had no idea, but the Gora Goa has an actual cutout window in the back of the case that you can see through, which kind of mirrors the game somewhat. That is genius. Roberto Makoto showed off these games, including one of Super Rare Games' very early titles, Snake Pass. It's probably one that most people slept on before the whole low print scene became like a mainstream thing. Snake Eater also got the shock box of Samurai plus the excellent shooters, as well as Shakedown Hawaii, a game which I'm sure most people didn't sleep on after what happened with the Retro City Rampage from the same publisher. They weren't going to let that happen twice. Vast Neon showed off this lovely photo, including one of my favorite imports, Phoenix Wright Trilogy, 3 classic visual novel adventure games with some of the finest writing, characters, story, and mysteries in gaming history. Absolutely worth an import, no question. Sagata Sanshiro sent in this picture with some fine games, including the exceptional shoot-em-up Esp Psi, or however you say it. It's an import-exclusive shooter, sadly not in English, but that's not a problem for a shoot-em-up anyways. Hardcore shooter fans need this in their collection if they want to import it. Switch Guy 42 sent in this picture. Nice to see Langrissa after I said I was worried about its sales. Also, Trials of Mana. Are you all enjoying it, or is it stuck in your backlog? That's Speed sent in this picture of their pickups. Trine 1 to 3 is a great physical, though I still have nightmares about it to this day, considering when I first started the series, it was this release and all its variants that really tripped me up. I almost gave up on the series due to the stress of being wrong about it. My anxiety just couldn't take it. Zoka Omi, sorry I don't know how to say her name, has a fine selection of games here. Lots of indie goodness, which is always nice to see, including the Furwind Collector's Edition, which I believe is exclusive to Europe. Do let me know if I'm wrong on that though. Rick C sent in this picture of some great games. Happy to see Disaster Report 4 in there, as well as the Faerun collection, which just like Snake Pass, was an early game from Super Rare that I'm sure a fair few people missed, even if it didn't sell out too fast. Mainly Joe is a gentleman of culture, the fabulous collector's imports exclusive of Omega Labyrinth Life. You've got to stop tempting me with this one, guys. Plus Rune Factory 4 Collector's Edition, which even though that is chunky in itself, looks positively diminutive compared to Omega in this picture. Martin C sent in this nice picture including Stay, which is not a game you see often here from Red Art Games. Chris Hepburn got in Everspace. Apparently this is pretty expensive. I forget if it's the European or the American version, which is the pricey one. Bastian showed off these 2 games, including the Mega Drive classics. Sorry American friends, Mega Drive is a much better name than Genesis. Both Park Ranger and everyone's favorite action hero, Kurt Ganongrave, they got in Mextermination Force, which is finally being sent out by Super Rare Games after the global crisis. Fantastic game, loved that when I reviewed it. Fluttershout picked up the 3rd game in the Asterix and Obelix XXL series. It even includes 2 figurines of the lovable duo. Tommy Mayers got in some fantastic imports, of course Okami, but also the super obscure Mantis, Burn Racing, and Megaquarium. The middle one may be my most obscure title in my collection. I used to work in an aquarium, so I just had to have it. All of these have English, by the way, all of them exclusive to Japan as physicals. Peter Clark got in a couple of dark games this week. Raging Loop, which is a great visual novel supposedly, plus This War of Mine, which is fantastic but drained me so much as a person when I reviewed it a long time ago. It's very poignant. Jonathan, who donated one of this month's prizes, sent in these pickups, including at the very top, there's the collector's edition of Super Real Mahjong Love, 2 to 7, which is a strip mahjong game. It's a collection of some arcade classics of the genre. Sadly, Japanese only, but I really want this because, like Jonathan, I'm a man of culture. He also sent me pictures of a magazine dedicated to showing artwork from various games in the genre, but this video would be instantly taken down by YouTube if I dared show them to you. Alright, we are really running out of time, guys, and my voice is absolutely knackered. So before we do the giveaway, here are some pictures from you guys that I just can't fit in. Alright, let's do the giveaways. Here are all your names to those who participated this month. The first draw is going to be for the second prize, which is a download code for Hotline Miami Collection, donated to us by Jonathan. Hopefully there's not a twist here where he actually wins his own code. Actually, that would be bloody hilarious. Anyways, let's have a look. Congratulations! I will try to contact you over the place to where you sent your picture and give the code to you. Alright, now the second draw for the physical game, choosing one of these. Let's see who it is. Congratulations! I will contact you, or you can contact us in the way you normally do, and we'll sort out which games you want and where I need to send it. Alright, thanks ladies and gents, it's always fantastic to see what you've got. Normally I can fit in everyone's picture, but this week has been crazy and I'm feeling very unwell, my voice is dying, so I had to stop it at some point, I apologize. Anyways, send me your pictures over on Twitter at SoWhatAboutGame. Please DM me so I can keep track of it, or you can mention me if you want to and use the hashtag Let's Get Physical. I want to get that started, guys. Or you can email it to us at contactus@switchwatch.co.uk. Just make sure you start the email title with Community Spotlight so I don't miss it. Plus, we have a Discord where we can talk with you guys and you can send your pictures on there in the submissions section. Discord server links are below. Right, guys, I hope you enjoyed this week's episode of New Physical. Special thanks to our executive producers. We've got 4 of them now. Dane Wilkinson, God of Resin, Jonathan Rumor, and Kyle Sallow. Plus, all our other members, we really appreciate your support, guys. Thank you so much. It's been a massive week. I'm dying right now. Please tell me what's taking your fancy this week, and I need to go take a rest. I'll see you guys next time. Take care.